Today, we're talking about black and white film, specifically my favorite black and white film, Ilford HP5 Plus. I'm going to cover a few speed rounds of information so that if you are new to the film photography world, you have all of the basics covered, and I'm going to talk about why I think it's the perfect film for beginner photographers. Let's get into it. One of the biggest reasons why I think that Ilford HP5 is the perfect film stock for beginners is because black and white film is incredible for people who are just starting out. It's super forgiving in a way that color film is not. But with Ilford HP5 specifically, it is incredibly versatile and incredibly forgiving, and I think that is what makes it the perfect film stock for beginners. The ISO is 400, or the exposure index is 400. Having an ISO of 400 makes this film stock incredibly versatile, but it also has what Ilford refers to as an established emulsion technology, and that can be kind of confusing. Really what it is saying is that the latitude with this film is substantial, so much so that you can push this film stock to 3200 and it will handle it. And for that reason alone, I think it is the perfect film stock for beginners. The other thing about HP5 that makes it perfect for beginners is its tremendous amount of latitude means you can overexpose it and underexpose it, send it off to be developed, and you're still going to get those photos back. And if you are developing at home, Ilford HP5 is compatible with many different developers. So you don't have to just use Ilford's developing system. You can use Kodak or ADOX or Cinestill, whichever one suits your needs best or whichever one fits the budget. This film stock is incredibly versatile. It will handle the developer that you choose. And since we're talking about budget, let's talk about affordability. HP5 is a relatively affordable film stock amongst other black and white film stocks that allows you to purchase many rolls at a time without breaking the bank. And it is a popular film stock, which means there are tons of resources online in order to master using this film. I love that I am able to get dreamy black and white photos, that the grain is slightly chunky, but it's not so chunky that I feel like it overpowers the image or takes away from the image. And it's super easy to develop. I develop all of my film at home, so having something that gives me a little bit of flexibility if I need it is never something I will complain about. For reference, here are some side-by-sides of HP5, Delta 400, and Tri-X so that you can see the difference between them. As well as some of the images that I've captured along the way with HP5. If you're new to the film photography world, Ilford HP5 is a fantastic place for you to start. It is super flexible, forgiving, and it produces stunning images that are gonna make you wanna come back for more. The next feature of HP5 that I really love is its incredible tonal range. You get really beautiful contrast that's not too deep so that you lose the detail in the shadows. It still feels super punchy, clean whites, and a spectrum of grays that are captured really well with this film stock, which means you end up with these timeless black and white photos that will last a lifetime. You can take a photo of something in color and it just doesn't hit the same way as it does when it's in black and white. And that is a personal preference. I recognize that not everybody is going to feel that way. When you see black and white portraits of people hanging on a wall in a museum, they could be from 1932 or they could be from last year. And unless there are context clues within that photo, you might not be able to tell which one is which. And that just goes to show how timeless black and white photography can be. And specifically, HP5. You can do so much with this film. You can practically beat it up and it comes running back for more because it just performs so well with whatever you put it through that it's hard to not want to come back to. It's part of the reason that I've tried other black and white film stocks and I've always come back to HP5 because it is so flexible and so versatile that it allows me to take a single roll of film and shoot it across completely different situations, and all of those photos come out exactly how I wanted them to. And that is part of what I love about this film stock so much, is that I can take it to a bike race and shoot photos in the middle of the day, or I can take it to a concert and shoot photos when I have barely any light, and I get exactly what I want from this film, and that is incredible. Let's talk about where to buy your film. This is a question I get a lot from people who are just entering the film photography world, and they literally have no idea where to start. The first place I would recommend is B&H Photo. This is a family-owned business that has been in operation since 1973, and you can literally find almost any film stock on their website. I like supporting family-owned businesses, so that is usually the first place I go when I'm searching for anything film photography related. Whether it's cameras, film, lenses, you name it, darkroom accessories, they've got it. The next place is Cinestill or Lomography. Also, don't discount your local film photography store or your local camera shop. Let's get into the first speed round of information. What you are looking for when you're purchasing film, the ISO, the number of exposures you have, and what format you are looking at. First, let's talk about ISO. You're going to find this on the outside of your canister. It's usually a big bold number. This is ISO 400. You can see that here. It's also going to be on the box. So if you're picking up a box in the store, you can quickly reference what the ISO of the film is just by glancing at it. Your ISO is going to be your film's sensitivity to light. You have the ability to push and pull your film. If I were to take a roll of HP5 and set my camera's ISO to 800, that would be pushing my film ISO one stop, because it is double the number of the recommended ISO on the box. If I set it to 1600, that would be pushing it 2 stops. Every time you double the number of the ISO, you are pushing it, and it works in reverse as well. So pulling it 1 stop would be an ISO of 200, pulling it 2 stops would be an ISO of 100, and so on and so forth. Next, let's talk about the number of frames you get per roll of film. This is worth noting because some 35mm film only has 24 exposures and other rolls of film have 36. So when you are purchasing your film and you see that the price is a little bit cheaper, it's probably because you're only getting 24 frames or 24 exposures on that roll of film rather than 36. So you can see right here, it says 36 EXP. EXP, or exposures, is the number of pictures you will get out of this roll of film. You will not, however, find the number of exposures on a roll of 120 or a roll of medium format film. The number of frames you get, or the number of exposures you get, is going to be dependent on what camera you are shooting when it comes specifically to medium format 120 film. So if you have a camera that shoots a 6x7 frame, you are going to get less pictures than if you have a camera that shoots a 6x4.5 frame. Which leads me to the next point, which is the format options you have when you are shooting film. There's 35mm, which comes in a box like this, and it looks like this when you take it out. There is 120, which is for medium format cameras. And then you have sheet film. All of these are HP5 Plus with an ISO of 400. These film formats are not interchangeable. You cannot switch them out between different camera formats unless the film has been modified to do that. But typically, if you are purchasing 35mm film from a place like B&H, you're not going to get a modified roll that goes into a medium format camera. You're going to get a roll of 35mm film that goes in a 35mm camera. If you are new to the world of film photography, Ilford HP5 is a fantastic place for you to start. It is flexible, forgiving, it produces stunning images that are going to make you want to come back for more. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help keep me motivated in making these videos for you. I'll make sure I link everything we used today down below so you have access to it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tilly Scholl, and I'll catch you on the next one.